Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show. Good evening and welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show. It is Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. As we would say in the hood, it's the middle of the month, but we're so glad that you guys are here with us this evening. I have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure tonight. As you guys all know, we are days away from Juneteenth and we're days away from Father's Day. So who better to be our co-host this evening than my media buddy, a great conversationalist. He's been co-host here with us many times before. He has wonderful talk shows, podcasts, and he is now a new grandfather. And so we're going to talk tonight to find out if he's a grandpa or is he a glampa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, the one and only Mr. Chris Bass, better known as Boom Shakalaka Laka. What's up, Boom?
Oh man, started calling me Grandpapa, Grand Boom Shakalaka at this
Grand Boom Shakalaka. Is that fitting for you and not Glam Shakalaka?
No, I'm old school. I was talking to a friend of mine before I got on your program. Once again, always great to be with you, Art.
Thank
you.
I
was thinking about like my grandfather. My grandfather was old school, did not believe in sagging pants. He wore both suspenders and a belt. So
now you know that was a fashion faux pas like a mug, but you're right. Old school grandpas and even some daddies wear them belts and suspenders. Okay, yes, sir.
Right, and you got the button shirt all the way up to up to your neck. You got the suspenders and the belt. I'm compelled to go buy that now to go into the grandfather legacy. But as I stated last Wednesday, my daughter Matia gave birth to my grandson. And her husband, Edward, they're going to be fantastic parents because they love each other so much. To see that love pour into my grandson's name is Emery Dwayne Moorhead. It's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time.
Oh my God. Well, Bass, I just want to congratulate you from the time that I've been knowing you, just from your late wife and her being a big fan of mine to you and I now becoming like brothers. And we talk quite often to just knowing your daughters went out and blossomed on their own after the loss of their mom, which is tragic. And now to see them become married women and find their careers and now to make you a grandpa, man, that is really a blessing for Father's Day. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, Father's Day has a whole new meaning now. My oldest daughter, Brianni, lives in Texas, and Matia and her husband live in Arizona, live in Phoenix. So it's bittersweet because, of course, it would be perfect if Vicky was here, but life does what's supposed to do when we move forward. But to have happiness now into our life, to see our family grow. A month earlier, my niece from my sister Tiffany was born. So between my niece, prior to that, my nephew Caleb, my niece's name is Mawa, and now with my grandson Emery, it's more than a blessing. I don't take it for granted. It's a beautiful time in our life.
Well, you know what? It really is. But here's what I love more than anything. All of the names are just such beautiful names, just memorable names, names that transcend in many different directions. So I appreciate you guys for being progressive, a progressive family and coming up with these wonderful names for these children. I love it. Very nice.
Yes, it's for me to enter grandfatherhood.
Yeah,
it's I take it. I take it, man. I take the mantle. I love it. I can't wait to meet my grandson in person, to let him know in person. Because of course we'll Skype and do duo stuff over the phone and additional from platforming and things like that. But to see him in person and let him know that, hello, Emery, I am your grandfather. I'm looking forward to saying that to him.
I love it. I love it. And your voice, I'm sure it'll be eye-opening in many different ways. So that's very good. Very, very good. Well, also joining us on the show this evening is actor, comedian, and filmmaker, Mr. Dannon Green. You guys would know Dannon as a talented comedian and actor known for his various roles in film, television, sitcoms, commercials. He's been on Girlfriends, Everybody Hates Chris, The Real Husbands of Hollywood, and he was in Baby Boy and Nappily Ever After among his many credits. Well, he'll be here tonight to talk about a powerful boxing documentary film entitled The Executioners, I should say, with an S, that's plural. And it explains just this wonderful film. But Dannon has gone through some things with this film, some ups, some downs. But now this film is getting the recognition that it deserves. And I think it would be just a great choice for the Father's Day weekend. And you know, we'll talk about that and some other things. Don't you agree, Base? I sent you the information. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's timely, and everything is done for a reason. It's timely. It makes a lot of sense, especially, you know, when Father's Day comes around. You know, somebody to this day won't get too much love. I mean, you know, the mothers do all the things. Like, for example, when Mother's Day always rolled around, I had to go make reservations at various restaurants, wall to wall, to the hilt. And it was Father's Day. We just walk on in. Remember the old Western, see like the whole tumbleweed going through the town?
Yes.
That's how it was in restaurants on Father's Day. So it was a whole different, not his day. But to get the accolades that fathers should have, and to have it come out, it means a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Well, very good. All right. Well, let's get into today's news stories. We have a lot to talk about. Base and I are going to talk to you guys for the first hour, but we have a lot of things to cover. We're also going to talk about some of the most influential R&B artists of all time. So stick around for that as well, too. Well, let's get started, Base. The first thing that I want to bring up today is National Photography Day. So whether you are a professional photographer or just a photography lover, today is National Photography Day. And you know, Base, I love taking pictures. Matter of fact, I have so many pictures in my phone now that I'm going to have to probably take them all off of there, because with my travels and things that I've been doing and wanting to take selfies with people, I have a lot of photos. And I love photos because I think they tell the story that we're not oftentimes able to tell.
You are correct. It capitalizes our lives. And so like a form of time travel, we look at pictures, you knew where you were, you could picture the clothing, the music, and everything else. So it is very reminiscent. Of course, nowadays, you can take, you know, from your phone and get it printed out and put it into frames.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen the advancement of all this technology so that we can have still photos like we always have in our homes and our apartments and wherever, just to capture those moments in time.
Right. So I love it. So for all of you all that are into photography, here's the Photography Day. This is my #1 camera, but I'm actually going to start picking up a camera again and start using the camera. Nothing like, you know, the power of a camera and things that you can do with it. And again, help to save my poor phone, because you know they want you to buy a new phone. They start acting up after a while, man. They start slowing down, acting up. I just got an email today, you need to buy more space. I'm like, sit down, go somewhere. All right, since we are a health and wellness show, before we get into our other conversations, wanted to give you guys the latest COVID-19 update numbers for the state of Illinois. Illinois health officials announced reported the lowest daily case numbers of coronavirus yesterday since March of 2020. And Base, that's not bad at all. I was looking, because wait a minute, I thought I had my notes here. Let me see if I can go over here. Here we are. I can report it now because I had switched sides. We had really a low rate in our oh my goodness, I lost my notes here. Wait, hold on 1 second. I thought I had put them in here. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I think we had like 11 deaths, only like less than 800 new cases of COVID that were predicted. The vaccine dosage thing is staying about the same. Our percentage rate did drop below 1, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I lost my notes here. Did you hear any of that? Or let me see.
I've heard something similar to that, you know, with the daily case reports.
Right. So with that being said, it's going to be good. Now, here's the deal. The state of Illinois is not going to be giving daily updates anymore. They're going to do it on Fridays and over the weekend if anything changes like that. But they will not be doing the daily updates anymore. So I guess, you know, that'll be an aspect that we would have to take out as well, too, and just continue to talk about the health and wellness aspect of it. So, all right. So we'll leave it at that. All right, Base, what do you have in news?
Well, pretty much. I mean, the thing about when you look at news for what it is, let me just give my general opinion about news as we are right now. It can be very daunting. And I thought about this when we were talking about going over the show for today. It's powerful how the news affects us. It can only be daunting. It can be depressing when you watch the news and you take a look at it and you hear about shootings and deaths and things like that. So yes, but I think at the same time, if we are able to cipher out what's good and what's good for us information wise, we can provide some sort of a healthy balance. Look for news that's positive. You
Right.
don't have to always buy into what the news gives you.
Right.
Take time out to go online or even ask your friends or family if you've heard some positive news stories. I believe that's healthy
Yes.
because the more you submerge yourself into the daily stuff, as you know, you work in media. I worked in media myself. They say a newsroom, if it bleeds, it leads. And that's a
Right.
sorry state, but it happens to be true. If
Right.
we can control the bleeding, we don't have to buy into everything we hear. Just try
That's
to go
true.
out and I mean, even in your own life, try to get more positivity because I believe that's healthy for you.
Right. I couldn't agree more. The problem is, though, news here in our city and other major cities. Kate Renee and I were talking yesterday about the number of mass shootings that we've had here in our country just this year alone. A young lady was shot in Duluth, Georgia yesterday in a supermarket because she had words with a customer about wearing a mask. He came back in the store and shot her dead. We look at the fact that we had a mass shooting here in Inglewood, which is on the south side of Chicago. You guys hear about it in the news quite often. This morning, when I woke up to that news, Chris, I thought I was in a twilight zone because I'm used to hearing those type of stories here in Chicago, Saturday, Sunday news, not Tuesday morning, not thinking that
Right.
people gather whenever they want to gather. They're grown to whatever. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's lost their loved one. But I think right now, the media, as you said, has us all on just pins and needles. I think we're at our wits' ends right now.
I agree. I have the fortunate opportunity to have one of the recurring guests on my Friday Baseline show, Pastor Donovan Price. You may
Yes.
see him on the news as the street preacher. He comes on
Yes.
my show every Friday at 5 p.m. to give us the long version of what's going on with his solutions and resources.org, how he's able to help people go through tragic events. And I applaud the brother every time he's on with me because we get the long version of what we see in the news with quick soundbite. But I gave him a platform to let everybody know that what's out there is real, and
It
the
is.
fact that we should not be bound by fear. I understand about being careful, but if we're going to be bound by fear, we submit to the evil that's out there in the streets. And so, if we're able to find a way to navigate, to know your surroundings, and be protective of your family and friends, understandable, but don't let fear control your life because if you do that, they win. And Donovan Price, my brother, he does a fantastic job going out there helping people and helping them through grief and tragic events. It's amazing. I mean, he's galvanized by faith. I admire what he's going through because I don't think the average bear could do it.
You know what? I would have to say I will commend him for being the person he is, and he does a great job on your show. I've seen him several times. I quite often see him on the news. But then there is now a riff or a beef among these what's called first responder people. And i.e., I love Dawn Valenti. She has done just some amazing work here in this city. What is the other gentleman who's always on the scene?
Andrew Holmes.
Andrew Holmes. He's always there. But what the biggest problem to me is, and has been the biggest problem for quite a while, is why are we not getting any resolution and problems solved? And this has been going on in this city forever. This Chicago is really stressful right now. You can't sit at a stoplight. You are afraid to sit in front of your house. You're afraid to sit in your backyard. It just, and again, as you said, not wanting to live in fear. God knows none of us want to, but we are living in very volatile times right now, Base.
Well, I think the reason why Chicago, the city, ignores it because crime is a moneymaker. And what I mean by that is it's always going to keep people employed, through the Chicago Police Department. To solve the problem is not going to be the answer. We have to learn to control ourselves as people in the community. It's a long list of what's going on, but I think at the same time, if they, meaning the city, does not make it a top priority, then I guess for certain other people, then why should they?
Right.
If the
Right.
mayor, no offense to Mayor Lightfoot, she's done a fantastic job under certain circumstances, but she has been called to scrutiny over other things. And I think this is one of them. When you, again, ignore a certain community, that's going to hurt, especially this community got you into office. And,
Right.
so now you look back, okay, did I waste my vote? Will she be a one and done? And how come she, as the mayor, is not helping us as a community? So it's a lot going on, but I think at the same time, Art, the fact that it's being ignored is a sounding answer to them, not to us, because it was very serious. There should have been more task forces, something that helped to say, you know what, we're going to try to do our best to police or to, once again, not to abuse the authority of the badge, but to try to do your best. Well, look, here's the thing about being a police officer or being a part of the police department. It's not like you can find crime in one area.
That's
Crime
right.
is all over the place.
That's right.
So it's
That's right.
scattered.
Right.
It's like the Wild Wild West.
Right.
You got people armed. You got people wanting to shoot for whatever evil reason they have.
Right.
You step on their foot, look a certain way, you get shot and killed. It is a war zone. I understand that. But at the same time, people are crying for help and nobody's listening and nobody's responding to that.
Base, that's funny you would say that. This afternoon, I went over into the Hyde Park area, and there was a young man, African American. He said he was an artist, and that he had some of his artwork that he had laid out kind of on the sidewalk, and he was trying to sell the artwork. And people were going past him, and he was asking for money, asking you to buy the artwork, and people were saying, "Hey, brother, sorry, I don't have any money. No, thank you, brother." People were acknowledging him as brother.
Mm-hmm.
A white guy came along and gave him $5, and he then proceeded to cuss every black person out afterward that did not give him anything. He let everybody black, especially men, that the white man gave me $5, but he just went on and on. So the level of mental illness that is in this city. A lot of people are just nomads out here now. I think it has a lot to do with the drugs that are on the streets out here. I don't know. It's frightening here in Chicago right now, and something has got to change. And I think these aldermen or alderpersons, to be politically correct, need to be held more accountable for their wards. The trash, the noise. I feel so sorry for what happened on 75th and Chatham, but it's just too much right now.
Yeah, it's on overload because even before COVID, we had these problems.
Right.
So you can blame it on COVID, but we were doing this as a community before COVID. So now you put into COVID, so it's just going to be, on not only 100, probably damn near 200 at this point. Everybody just out there doing the most. And, when you watch people, congregating and things of that nature, I know people getting out there to get back to a form of normalcy or the new norm as we hear it in real time. It's still variants out there of COVID. You just, once again, take your time and proceed with caution. But still, people out here talk about I got the shot and probably lying through their asshole because they want to go out and be with people again. There's already stories about people with fake COVID-19 cards saying that they're vaccinated and they lying.
Right. I said the other day, you mean to tell me we're going to believe humanity that they would tell the truth about getting this vaccine shot when people lie to get out of parking tickets? People lie to not go to work, not do a lot of different things, not to pay child support, all of that. And you mean to tell me people all of a sudden gonna tell the truth about being vaccinated? That's a crock of, look, I carry my laminated card with me everywhere I go to let you know I've been vaccinated,
There you go.
Wow. All right, Base. Well, let's continue to move on. Didn't you have something else in the news you wanted to talk about as well?
Well, let's see. There was a couple of things. There was a story that I particularly like that I wanted to share with people. Everybody understands and knows the greatness of the late, great Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac, true genius, I had the great opportunity of meeting him once while I was producing talk shows, and we had him on as a guest. I got a chance to talk to him for 1 hour in the green room. And this is the story he told me. Now, the main story is that they're going to do his biopic. John Legend's producing company is going to produce his biopic coming up soon. The story that Bernie Mac told me was he originally was supposed to be the voice of Robin Harris in the Bebe's Kids animation movie.
That's right.
And come to find out that he was trying to do with the Hudlin brothers. They were producing it. And he told me, yeah, I'll do it. But then he said they got cheap and did not want to fly him out to L.A. and did not want to put him up for room and board. And I said, well, why would they approach you? Don't want to take care of, your lodging. He said, man, I tried to work with it. He said, I went one step further. You guys pay for, like, say, the flight, and I'll pay for the room and board, the hotel stay, or vice versa. They still was cheapos. So he ended up not doing it, and he was very close friends with Robert. As a matter of fact, he was telling me back in the day when they would go try out for nightclubs. I might just before the Cotton Club and stuff like that on the South Side.
Right.
Went to the North Side to the white clubs and nightclubs and audition. So either you only gonna pick one black one. So either he got the gig or it was Robin. And then to know each other's routine when I closed my eyes, you couldn't tell it was Robin Harris or not. That's how good he was.
Yes.
Imitated his voice, but he didn't get it. Of course, he went to Phase on Love. Phase on did a very good job in it, but it originally would be Bernie Mac. And to see a biopic come on down the road, I think is more than honorable. This was a guy that any comedian would tell you, you did not want to go on after Bernie.
No.
If you because Bernie would shut it down.
Yes. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Absolutely. You are really a true icon, a legend, originally from the South Side. Bernie Mac actually used to work at South Central Community Services, on the South Side. Bernie Mac, his daughter Janice, I just love her, have had her on the radio show, his wife, just the whole family. The Bernie Mac Foundation is an incredible foundation that raises money, to preserve the legacy of Bernie Mac and to help young people to continue with education and anything that they need. Yes, a biopic on Bernie Mac is definitely long overdue. And his daughter Janice was actually on social media today talking about, like who would play him and who would the selection be. And, I don't know. Do you have any idea of who you think could play Bernie Mac in his film? Who do you see? Like, I wouldn't want Kevin Hart to do it. Kevin Hart to me is the Black Jerry Lewis. Okay. Yeah. So do you have any idea?
At this point, Art, I cannot picture anybody. That's how good he is. I can't picture anybody even trying to imitate or, he was just that much of an original. I wish them, as Scooby-Doo once said, Ross or Ruck, to find someone to fill the role of the biopic, because I can't even think of anybody at this point. You've seen many imitators. And the one thing about Bernie Mac I love so much and reading about him was, like Robin Harris, they took a character in a movie and just had gravitas. They can just make up whatever they wanted to see or hear. Like going back to the first Friday movie, Claude Have Mercy. Who says stuff like that? What I mean? It's just original stuff that you don't see that's written down. So when you're able to have that type of, same with Robin Harris going back to Do the Right Thing and Mobile Blues, working with Spike Lee. A lot of stuff he said was improvisation. So the same with Bernie. So when you're able to have that type of skill set to say, here's the character and just go, that's beyond talented.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Well, I'm sure we'll find out more about that. Well, as you guys all know, June is Black Music Month, and we have a couple of things to announce or to celebrate as far as June and Black Music Month. Legendary songstress Diana Ross, who in my head is my mother. She is my other. I love Diana Ross so, and just to have met the family and just all of that, just Diana Ross is just amazing. She's fabulous. She's always been. But she made an announcement that she has a new song coming out this week. The Queen of Motown teased the track Thank You on Twitter. The new single is coming out on the 17th of this month. The new title is Thank You, To You, For You, From Me. And so we'll see, but it seems as if, it's been a decade and a half since the Queen's latest studio album. and we'll see. So she has a new single coming out. I can't wait to see what she'll put out there.
Always when you put a royalty next to a person's name, they've more than earned it. To
Oh,
be
absolutely.
queen, to be king, even to be duke or duchess or prince or princess. You've earned that title. So going back to the great Diana Ross, you have to be understanding that, look, this is huge because, man, you talk about that, you talk about her daughter, Tracy Ellis Ross, with the Blackish and everything else. And that has to be one interesting, daunting thing to have a famous parent and then go out trying to make your name.
Well, we could talk about the beloved Ronda Ross, who I've had the honor and pleasure of interviewing, hanging out with. That's my connection to, the Rosses. And she's amazing. She and her husband are just great musicians. Her son, Diana Ross's grandson, is having his own career. So you're right. What I love about that is, and to watch them interact, is that, again, Diana Ross is a mother, everyday woman, just to see her interact with her family and talk to them and things like that. But yet to the world, she is the queen of Motown and Diana Ross. And I love that balance about who she is. And the fact that each one of her children have carved their own way out in this world. Her sons, all of that. So Just interesting. I'm sure mama's name helped now. I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure mama's
name
helped. Yes. So, all right. Well, congratulations to Miss Ross, Miss Diana Ross. Speaking of another queen, and it being Black Music Month, Essence Mag. Oh no, I'm sorry. BET has announced that Queen Latifah will be receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. As we all know, Queen Latifah is absolutely amazing. And we're excited about that. Queen Latifah in 2006 became a cultural icon. She was originally born Dana Owens, the first hip hop artist to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was the first major performer to perform at both on the big and small screen. She was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Juice, Living Single, Set It Off, The Queen Latifah Show, Beauty Shop, and so much more. And so we are very excited about the fact that Queen Latifah is the BET 2021 Lifetime Achievement recipient. She will receive it. Isn't that amazing?
Well, she more than deserves it. Here's a person who just recently, CBS renewed the second season for her starring role in The Equalizer.
Yes.
So she has always found a way to reinvent herself. And in Hollywood, that's not easy, especially being a Black woman in Hollywood,
right.
Just constantly doing that. And you said before about being on sitcoms, movies, having her own talk show. She always found a way to have these points of reference where you can look back and see these moments in time. I remember her as a hip hop artist in the original, playing her music. I was in college, and to see her go from that to where she is now, look, it was only a handful of people that made the great transition of being in hip hop and rap to acting, because again, that's a young person's game, hip hop and rap.
Yes.
So her, Will Smith, LL Cool J, Ice Cube, Ice-T, they were able to, whatever team that worked with them was able to help push them into the next stratosphere to go to the next level. And Queen Latifah was one of those people, she ranks up there. I mean, also did the movie Bessie about singer Bessie Smith.
And was phenomenal in that movie. Yeah. Well, Bass, let me tell you, the funniest thing is as we talk about you now being a grandpa, and I was joking backstage, I still think of myself as a grandpa if I was a grandfather. Imagine watching Queen Latifah as the hip hop artist and now going to someplace like Ravinia, and she's opening up with, some Sinatra. She's opening up with, an orchestra, things like that. It just goes to show you how a person, their life can do a complete 360, and we can watch them become an icon like that. Never in a million years did I think UNITY would turn into I Left My Heart in San Francisco. I never saw that coming, but I love the pivot in Queen Latifah.
Oh, it's not. It's like what can she do becomes the question. In Chicago, the musical on film there.
That's right.
When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. I mean,
Big
again,
Mama Thornton. Yeah, right.
it's right. All this musicality that she has, and just talent, just oozing out of who she is. And the great thing about Queen Latifah is that no matter what she did, we gravitated towards it.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, as we know, living single, look, Kim Fields said it herself. The
Yes.
reason why I got on the show was because of Queen Latifah.
Right. Right.
And
Yes.
that was the original Friends show, as we all know by now.
Yes. Don't let nobody fool y'all. That was the original Friends. It really was. All
Yeah.
right. Well, for those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. So glad that you guys are here with us in the chat room tonight. Our co-host is the one and only Mr. Chris Bass. Boom Shakalaka. He's sitting over there in that box right there. We appreciate him. Legendary radio personality, social media influencer, and conversationalist, to say the least. And so we're celebrating Father's Day 2021, and we're celebrating Juneteenth 2021. Juneteenth is this coming Saturday. Father's Day is Sunday. Chris Bass just became a grandfather. So big round of applause for that. He now has a grandson who, Bass, would you be passing him the microphone eventually? Or is it too early for all of that? Is it too early?
You're never too young to learn. A good friend of mine was saying, look, wouldn't it be interesting if we follow in grandfather's footsteps? Man, look, ain't nothing worse than seeing a fat man weep. I ain't got time to weep right now. I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, the cry face, and it's really goddamn ridiculous. But it's tears of joy, and if that was to be the blessing down the road, I mean, I wouldn't know to do it myself, man. You want to see me do a jig at whatever old I am at that point. Yeah, I would do it. That would be fantastic.
That's so cool. That really is. It is just beautiful. All right. Well, congratulations again, Bass. And thank you guys who are tuned in with us. Do me a favor. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show. Easy, simple, free. Your subscription would help out a tremendous deal. If you watch the show every night, enjoy the show. You can also watch encore performances of the show there, and you can share the show with other people. People call now and, hey, I said, well, no, we had them on, or I had this celebrity on, and all I do is go back, shoot them the link, and boom, magic happens. So that's how we do it around here. All right. So Black Music Month. And so Bass, kind of want to talk about best artists of all time. I do have a list that was comprised, and we can kind of talk about these people, and we can always add some more people to the list. Should I start at, let me see. I have the list of the top 10 of all time. Do you have somebody you want to start off with? Because I can start off at number 10 and see if you agree with this or not.
Yeah, we'll tell you, you start off, and then we'll just interact from there.
Okay, so coming in, and this was from Rolling Stone magazine, you guys. I did a search for the greatest R&B, top 10 R&B soul singers of all time. Coming in at number 10 was the amazing Luther Vandross. What do you think about Luther?
At number 10, well, that's interesting. I probably would have had him higher, me personally.
Okay.
But you look, you can never go wrong with Luther. I think Luther said it best. Well, back in the day, real quick, when he was on Arsenio Hall's show, Arsenio Hall asked him, when you get in the mood, who do you put on to set the tone? I put me on. So you can't. When Luther said, I put me on, I mean, that shows you the confident skill set that Luther Vandross had. I mean, you could be down the dumps, you could bump your knee, you could have a bad day, put on some Luther. It just takes all that pain away.
Oh my God. I've got to give a major shout out to one of my fellow Luther South alum, a good friend, Lynn Colbert, had invited me to go to the Grammys when it was in New York. And I went to the Grammys with her, and we went to this wonderful party, and I met Luther at that party. And that was many, many years ago. I was young then. And years later, when he became Thin Luther and I was big, because I was thin when I first met him, he and I got to meet again with each other. And that's how that picture came about of me and Luther. And so I think, Luther Vandross to me was one of the greatest singers of all times, because he was in the formative years of my life. And as you said, go home and put him on to his own music. Because I mean, Luther told stories in his songs. And so he's an icon that I'll never forget. And meeting him not once, but twice was really amazing.
That's huge.
Okay. Number 9 on the list is Smokey Robinson.
Okay.
So yes, in the late 50s, Smokey Robinson helped Berry Gordy to lay the groundwork for Motown Records. And over the next few decades, he wrote and recorded many of the label's most memorable hits. The Miracles, as we all know, Smokey's song, Shop Around, Tracks of My Tears, Going to a Go-Go, I Second That Emotion, The Tears of a Clown. The list goes on and on. Smokey Robinson is still around. Smokey Robinson still looks great. I want to know what his beauty regimen is as I get older. But what do you think about Smokey Robinson?
You can't have Motown without Smokey. It's just that simple. You know, if one, you can't even picture one without the other. And to be instrumental in the brick by brick of Smokey Robinson and Motown and, you know, and Berry Gordy, it's just, you can't fathom the place without him. And the fact that he was able to make that much of a dent in working with other artists, you know, the Temptations and go on and on, that just great staple of talent that had come out of there as a writer and a performer. It's synonymous. Smokey, Motown, prolific writer, prolific performer.
Right. Very good. Absolutely. Okay. Well, next on the list, number 8 is James Brown. The world has never seen anything quite like James Brown. When he burst onto the scene in 1956 with his classic Please, 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 from even earning the name the hardest working man in show business. He would always tour. He was forever recording. He even was working and recording right up until he died in 2006. Songs that you guys would know by James Brown would be I Feel Good, Papa Got a Brand New Bag, It's a Man's World, Get Up Off of That Thing, which is one of my favorite songs. And as you name it and go on, no other was like the late, great Mr. James Brown. And so what is your thought and take on the late, great James Brown?
YouTube is a wonderful memorabilia. And, you know, when you go back, it's like, oh, man, I remember, let me go back on YouTube so I can find this. So I remember watching in real time Soul Train with Don Cornelius. James Brown was so bad, he had 2 bands. At this one performance, he had 2 drummers, had the horn section, Maceo on each side of him. It was a performance piece. And right. So when you go back and watch it, he has one drummer do one song, another drummer do the other song, the third song, both drummers do it at the same time. It was wonderful. And then the horn section with Maceo, with the trombones and the trumpets and everything else. Dude was, and the way he took that microphone stand and would never drop it. It just rocked back and forth on his stand. And he would dance around, do his thing. That's my vivid memory of James Brown, among others. But the man was so cold. He was like, I got 2 drummers. I got 2 bands.
Yes. Well, my fondest memory of James Brown, I will never forget this as long as I live, was at the old Midway Airport, not the new high-tech modern Midway Airport, the old Midway Airport, where from the ticket counter to your gate was probably a 10-minute walk, maybe the most. Do you remember that Midway base?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
James Brown, and this is when James Brown's career was kind of dicey. You know, he wasn't as popular. Don't get me wrong, always, you know, James Brown, but he was coming through Midway with his entourage to get on a plane. James Brown was so fun and funny and animated in that airport, and people of just all races was running up to him. He was taking pictures. His entourage was trying to, you know, get him to get on the plane. You know, they holding the plane. And then it was so funny to see people who didn't know who he was and to watch their expressions. And people was like, that's James Brown. That's James. So I will never forget that. And he just, even going down the jet bridge, was laughing and singing and just, you know, truly an entertainer. But that would be my fondest memory of ever meeting James Brown in person, and just a great man.
Oh, another story real quick about James. I just remembered that a friend of mine who did radio, he had retired. We met on social media. He was telling me he used to work for James Brown. James Brown owned a couple of radio stations down south, like in Mississippi.
Sure
And
did.
so he was his morning man. And the story went, the engineer that worked for the radio station got into a car accident and he had a bad foot and he swole up and he couldn't have medical attention. So when James Brown ran to the engineer, he said, "Hey, I heard you got into an accident. You all right?" "Yeah, Mr. Brown, I'm getting on the good foot."
And that's how that came about.
And that's how they came about. He took that money, gave it to the engineer so he could operation on his foot.
You are kidding me. Well,
Oh,
I'm telling you, dude, James Brown did a concert damn near in Midway Airport that day. And again, he was on a regular scheduled flight. I want to say it was Midway Airlines, and the flight was to Atlanta. It was whatever it was. It was, and he was, when I say to you, that man cut up and clown in that airport, and he wasn't being disrespectful. He was just being an entertainer. And you should have just seen how people who didn't know who he was like, what in the world is going on, where other people screaming and he taking pictures and just all of that. So just a consummate entertainer. So yeah, wow, that was really nice of him to do that. Get on the good foot. That was beautiful.
Get on the good foot.
All right, well, number 7 is Mr. Stevie Wonder. In 1963, when he was just 13 years old, Stevie scored his first hit record with Fingertips Part 2. It was the beginning of his most brilliant musical career of the 20th century. Throughout the rest of the 60s, Little Stevie Wonder was one of Motown's most reliable hit makers, with all of his hit songs like Uptight, Everything's Gonna Be All Right, My Sharia Moore, and many others. It was when he turned 21, he gained creative control of his career. I can't say it. Career. Did I say career? Yes, his career. Too much talking. His career. Where were we? Let me get back down here. And he began to do a landmark LP, which was the next thing. And then, of course, he continued to get more fame, more accolades, all of that. Stevie Wonder. What do you think about him?
When Eddie Murphy made the joke about don't make fun of Stevie Wonder, he's a musical genius.
Right.
That's the truth. He's a musical genius, man. Leave him alone. So that type of thing. He's just in the class by himself. Stevie Wonder, obviously, I look at game changers, what we're talking about here. He's another game changer. I mean, here's a guy, Songs in the Key of Life was epic.
Yes.
And still is.
Yes.
And so you can go any song on that album, on the LP, you would know it or familiar with it or say, okay, I remember that song. So that's how influential he is in our life. Case in point, show you how brilliant he was. And most songwriters have this. So there was a movie that came out years ago with Gene Wilder called The Woman in Red.
Okay.
And so Stevie Wonder did the soundtrack. I Just Called to Say I Love You.
Yes.
Came from that LP.
Yes.
He wrote those songs 10 years prior.
Mm-hmm.
And just went back in the vault and just, cleaned it up. And then was able to do all those songs he had pre-written already.
Yes. Yes. Well, Stevie's range has just been, to me, incredible throughout the years, period. One of my favorite songs by Stevie Wonder is Ave Maria. When he does Ave Maria, it brings chills to my spine to hear him do that song. Mm-hmm. But then he'll do a song like Rocket Love, which is a song to me that is a classic. But if I was to hear it right now, it's almost like I've heard it for the first time. And so, really, as you said, a musical genius when you really think about it,
Absolutely.
All right, number 6 on the list is Mr. Al Green. He was raised on the music of Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, and Jackie Wilson. It was in the early 70s. He joined the ranks when he released a stunning series of soul singles that included Let's Stay Together, Take Me to the River, Tired of Being Alone. In the 80s, Green began to devote his life to God, and he started recording gospel music into the mid-90s. Actually, he Justin Timberlake told Rolling Stone magazine in 2004 that Al Green was a lot of his influence, and baby making music and all that kind of stuff. If you're a certain demographic, it is what it is. But Al Green to me is Mr. Memphis. I got a chance to meet him at the Stax Museum in Memphis. Al Green is just a tremendous singer. We all know the situation about the hot grits, and a lot of brothers stay nervous about hot grits. I know a lot of brothers stop eating grits after that. But, Al Green to me is a musical genius.
Another musical genius, Art, and the people we mentioned according that we read about the list here, and going into Mr. Green, sings to your soul. Sings directly to your soul, and it hits it every heartbeat. And so once again, when you sing to somebody's soul, it's a whole new stratosphere when you're able to connect, and it's like he's singing to you and nobody else. And so that ability again is like, what we do as broadcasters, really we don't have an audience, we try to talk to that one person, and that makes it more intimate. And so the same can be said when listening to a song, when you had the album back in the day and you had the double LP and you saw the liner notes and the pictures and illustrations. It put you in that whole universe. So while the music was playing, it was already on a different plane. Al Green did all of that and then some.
He did. Yeah, multi-talented, really. Absolutely. Well, Al Green is one of the favorites too. All right, number 5 on the list is Mr. Ray Charles. He is simply known as the genius. During the 60s decade, Ray Charles played nearly every kind of music imaginable, from soul to rock to country to jazz. He kicked off with an incredible series of hits, which included Mess Around in 1953. Over the next 20 years, he continued to score chart-topping songs. I Got a Woman, The Nighttime is the Right Time, Georgia on My Mind, Hit the Road Jack, you name it, the list goes on and on. And Ray Charles, there was a film about him and all of it. And I love Ray Charles. I love old Ray Charles, music and things like that. So what do you think about Mr. Number 5, Mr. Ray Charles?
Well, again, another game changer who was able to reinvent himself, and they said about the genius of Ray Charles, that was true. And it was documented in the movie. Taylor Beckford was the person who directed the movie. If you ever have time, this is for you and everybody else, go watch the documentary about Ray before the movie was made. Taylor Beckford said that he saw Ray Charles in concert and was just amazed, been a fan ever since. The documentary is just like the movie. There's not too many documentaries that match the movie. Everything you see in the documentary is chronicalized in the same order of the movie. So Taylor Beckford goes into part of the movie when he's directing it, the scene where Ray is talking to a reporter, and the reporter is like, you're doing the middle of the road stuff, the orchestra and everything else. And he says the following: if I feel it, then I know it's real. So no matter what the format was, if he felt it, he went with it. Georgia on My Mind is a great ballad, and is, again, when you hear that type of musician speaking to you, and like he's singing to you only. And he's able to, once again, reinvent himself. Because in the beginning, as you saw in the movie, he didn't know who the hell he was. He's imitating Nat King Cole and Charles Brown. Now, me personally, I know Charles Brown in my home. My dad used to play Charles Brown. Charles Brown was a blues singer. Charles Brown would make you want to grab the nearest thing and drink. His delivery was in the midnight hour. I mean, oh my God. I don't know how my dad used to it. And so,
you want me to slit my wrist? Oh my God!
You read my mind. I was going to go there, but yeah, I mean, slit your wrist and just lay out, because that's how he was trying to find his own voice. Once he found his voice, there's no stopping him. So, like being with Atlantic, the record label during that time, they allowed him to be creative until they moved over to ABC. But during those great years, he cranked out great music because they pretty much left him alone. He was like one take Ray in the studio. That's how talented he was.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, number 4 on the list is the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin. Aretha got her singing career started in her father's church at a very young age. Her debut album in 1956, Songs of Faith, came out when she was just 14. It wasn't until the mid 60s, however, that the rest of the world learned about Aretha's brilliance. And over the years, she had incredible hits that included I Never Loved the Man the Way I Love You, Respect, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, Think, and many others. In 2008, Rolling Stones named her the greatest singer of all times. Aretha is a gift from God, Mary J. Blige said in The Issue. And as we all know, the Queen passed away. She had a multi-day homegoing service. She her clothes changed every time. We missed the Queen of Soul. I am fortunate enough to have been able to interview her when I was on the radio. One of the most moving experiences of my life ever. And just interesting. But the Queen of Soul came in number 4 on the list.
Again, someone whose voice can move mountains, can stir the soul of anybody. It could be animal, it could be vegetable, mineral. I mean, anything that was in earshot of the Queen. And look, if anybody has, once again, YouTube is fantastic. There was a time where she had to fill in for Luciano Pavarotti, and she sung all these beautiful Italian songs with just so effortless and just grace. And that goes to show you again the marking of a great singer, not being bogged down by format. If
Right.
you ever get a chance to check out her work filling in for Pavarotti, it is fantastic. It just shows you
Yeah.
the next level. You love her even 10 times more because
Yeah.
now you hear her in a different voice, in a different setting.
Right.
When you're the Queen, ain't nothing you can't do.
That's right. That's right. Well, I really, it was quite the pleasure to talk to the everyday woman, grandmother. That day when I talked to her, there was nothing queen about her, everyday lady. And I just thought it was the most amazing thing ever. So God rest the life and times of the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin. And we're looking forward to Chicago's very own Jennifer Hudson portraying the Queen in the movie coming out in August. All right. Next up on the list, number 3 would be the legendary Mr. Sam Cooke. At the age of 33, Mr. Sam Cooke was shot to death in 1964 in the lobby of a seedy Los Angeles motel. Cooke he actually started off in gospel music. And in 1956 is when he made the change over to secular music. His first solo single, Lovable. Over the next few years, he released songs You Send Me, Chain Gang, Cupid, Twist the Night Away, Another Saturday Night, A Change Is Gonna Come, and many, many more. In 2004, Art Garfunkel told Rolling Stones that he had famous chops, fabulous taste, that he was, Sam Cooke, baby. He was flamboyant, again, coming from gospel and then becoming a mainstream artist. Back in them days, I'm sure it was lots of Cadillacs and furs and bell bottoms and everything else. So what do you think about Sam Cooke?
Well, as we know, whether it was Malcolm X or other movies, when you hear a change is going to come, I think that was a pivotal point. I think a lot of people in this situation, musical artists, have that one song that really put them to another planet, a whole nother galaxy. And I think that when he sung that song in the midst of what was going on in our lives during that time, the civil unrest in this country in the 60s, I think it really galvanized the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the proverbial day, we'll all go home one day. And
Right.
so when he was able to put that into words, obviously, again, even the coldest people I've talked to who don't believe in God said they were moved by that song.
That's right. That's right. I couldn't agree with you more. You're absolutely right. All right. Next up on our list, number 2, correct? Yep, would be the legendary Mr. Marvin Gaye. Musical accomplishments from the late 50s ran all the way into the 80s with his comeback. Sexual Healing. During the 60s, he was one of Motown's most reliable hit makers. He had such songs as How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, Ain't That Particular, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, Thinking About My Baby. Of course, his classic duets with Tammy Terrell, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. He played drums on Please Mr. Postman for the Marvelettes. The list goes on and on and on, but as we all know, Gaye had a very turbulent personal life. He was in the midst of a career renaissance when he was shot to death by his father, April of 1984, after they got into an argument. And I will never forget, I was in high school, and one of my high school classmates used to always tell us that Marvin Gaye was her father. In her head, Marvin Gaye was her father. Mm-hmm. And that day when Marvin Gaye died and she found out, and this was way before social media and all of that, they had to carry that girl out of the school. She was screaming and crying and passing out and everything. So yes, the legendary Mr. Marvin Gaye. What do you think about Mr. Marvin Gaye?
Well, again, another genius. Here's a man who said on record when he was doing the song What's Going On, which still is an anthem for today in 2021.
Right.
When he was putting together, he's doing the first vocal. He's doing the background vocals. He's playing the bongos. He's doing the strings. And, you know, when you hear the opening, hey, man, what's happening? Those were Detroit Lions NFL football players.
Right.
That were a part of this ensemble. So, again, the level of that song and the genius of a Marvin Gaye, when he was asked, how did you write that? And I believe the response was, he spoke through me.
That's right. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, last but not least on the list, number one, best all-time R&B artist of all times would be the late, great Mr. Otis Redding. He was 26 years old when his plane crashed into a Wisconsin field following a Cleveland concert. Months earlier, he was introduced to a wider audience when he played a non-legendary set at the Monterey Pop Festival, and days earlier, he had finished working on Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. He went on to become one of the most famous of his career. He was actually from Georgia, and he had, you know, songs like That's How Strong My Love Is, Try a Little Tenderness, I Can't Turn You Loose. You name it, his career went on, and you know, just tragic how he died as well, too. I must admit, not as big of a fan of Otis Redding, have heard his music and his work, but it never moved me as much as maybe the other artists. What do you think about Otis Redding being number one?
Yeah, I'm interested who put the list together.
Right.
This is no offense to the artists in that numerical order, but I would have put some people in various orders. And so, no offense to Otis Redding, I mean, we know of his work. Sitting on Top of the Bay is a classic that everybody can whistle to if you know it, and that's cool. But I think missing from the list, I mean, for me, I have my own little short list here. I thought people like Prince would be on there. It's about the top 10.
But Prince, now we talking R&B singer now.
R&B, right? But But would Prince also cover R&B?
Right. Okay. All right. You're right.
So I think it's very obvious of the ear and the eye of the person putting the list together. But yeah, I would have interchanged a couple. No offense, but I would have interchanged a couple of those spots there, Art.
Okay, so Bass, you are co-hosting again next week, I think, correct?
Correct.
Let's come up with our own personal list. Let's come up. Okay, let's come up. Hold on to that list, because you're right. I think like Whitney Houston, but see, those people became pop icon artists. Where if you had to look at the nitty gritty R&B artists, and then I'm kind of like you. There are a lot of different people I probably would add to that list. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do that next week. All right, we'll do it next week when you come back. We'll continue our Black Music Month celebration here on the Real Chat Daddy Show. We appreciate you guys going down that musical journey with us. It's so funny. Look what Preston said. He said, no way, Otis Redding, no shade, but he wrote respect. Right. So I don't know, but that's the list I got from the Rolling Stones. Now it is a dated list, so maybe they've done an updated list since then. For those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. So glad that you guys are here with us this evening. June is Men's Health Awareness Month. We cannot stress enough how important it is for men to schedule appointments with their doctors. We are a health and wellness show, so we want to remind you guys to please book appointments with your physicians. As we say here on the show, base from your rudder to your tutor. Did you know that? This is your rudder, yes, and the tip of your toes is your tutor. And so you should schedule an appointment with the doctor and make sure all of your in-betweens is checked between your rudder and your tutor. Does that make sense?
Makes all the sense in the world.
Okay, and now that you're a grandpa, we want you to be around and do everything that's right. And so we want to make sure all of you guys do that. And if you've not scheduled a doctor's appointment recently, guys, do it as a Father's Day gift to yourself, okay? June is also Black Music Month. We just completed a wonderful conversation of talking about what, a list that revealed the top 10 R&B artists of all times, but Bass and I figure it's a whole different set of people that we'd like to add to that top 10 list. We might have to do 10 apiece next week. I think that's how that'll work. All right, coming up in just a little bit, we have an actor, comedian, filmmaker joining us to talk about a wonderful movie, film documentary, The Executioners. Coming up on tomorrow night's show, we have an American Idol semi-finalist, the one and only Leslie Hunt will be here. She has a new album out. She was on season 6 of American Idol, and we're looking forward to talking to her. And then this coming Friday is National Clean Your Aquarium Day. For those of you all that are into the aquatics and you have aquariums in your home, this coming Friday is National Clean Aquarium Day, and we're going to meet a young man on the south side of Chicago who has opened up an aquarium emporium. Does that make sense? An aquarium emporium on the south side of Chicago. So all things aquarium, he has it. And I actually am going to go by one day and visit him and probably do a live broadcast of his. I like that. I feel like it's the ghetto shed aquarium. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. You could just, on the south side, go in his place and look at the aquariums and take selfies and all of that, So, nice. Yes. Right. Very nice. All right. Our co-host this evening is the one and only Mr. Chris Bass, better known as Boom Shakalaka. He's here with us tonight. We're celebrating fathers all this week, and he just became a grandpa this weekend. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You went to bed. You went to bed a daddy and woke up a grandpa.
I'm telling you, this whole grandfather thing is getting used to. A friend of mine said, "Hey, man, we gotta celebrate and buy some old granddad because you're an old granddad."
That see, Bass, we got to make you a grandpa. You right. We got to make you right. We know you are gonna embrace the suspenders and the belt, and right. we know you probably end up wearing some plaids and just the wrong colors and all of that. But we proud that you are a grandpa. We are, but we definitely want to make you a grandpa. Bass, I can't let you go out like that.
Oh man, well look, I'm not trying to be Mr. Brown. I'm not trying to get the plaid and the the white shoes going. I think I have some sort of style.
Okay.
Myself.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't do the plaid, Doc.
Okay, yeah, we don't want you right. We want to keep you the cool hip grandpa, right? Be like, right. Yeah, is that Bass and his grandson out there playing basketball? That's Bass and his grandson playing basketball. That's right, man. That's how we do that. All right.
I lose a lot of weight, but I'm looking forward to it.
That's okay, Bass. We working on a lot of things. We in a new time, post-COVID. Bass, before we go to our next guest, let's talk about all of the things that you're doing during the week. You are on the air at least 2 to 3 times a week. So let everybody know what it is you're doing and how we can continue to follow you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Art. So every Wednesday, I do a show called CBI, Chris Bass Interviews. That's at 4 p.m. via Facebook Live. Everything I do is via Facebook Live, a digital platform. It's me with a guest. We do one-on-one conversation. And on Thursday nights, it's Five Guys and You. That's on Street News Now, created by Lee Michaels. It's me and Lee Michaels and some other gentlemen. We all go on there and do our thing. And as our callers are the Five Ball Guys, which is correct. his assessment. I think Lee is the only one with hair, and everybody else is just bald headed. So
Yeah.
it's 5 bald guys and you every Thursday 8 p.m. Central, and then catch me on Baseline, my signature talk show that airs every Friday at 4 p.m. It's just me chop up with you in the comment section. We get a chance to type in and free your mind. There's always Free Your Mind Friday, because when you free your mind, your yes always follows.
You know what? I believe that. I really do believe that. I do. I when you free that mind, that ass will follow, and it's important that your ass follows. You know what I'm saying? Because if your ass don't follow, I think you'd be kind of like ass backwards. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important that your ass follows. Free your mind, and your ass will follow.
Right. It's symmetric. It has to happen. You can't have one without the other.
Well, brother, yesterday we was talking about how some of these women been coming in these stores lately. Before we go to our next guest, it was a lady came into Walmart the other day, 300 pounds with a string bikini on and 6 inches. And yeah. So maybe our next guest can help us with that one, because she really freed her mind and her ass was everywhere. So I think it's a dress code. We're trying to get people to wear masks. I just want you to conceal all that, but we'll move on. All right. Our next guest, we are excited and honored to welcome him back to the show. He actually has been here with us before, and it's an honor and a pleasure to welcome him back. He's an actor, comedian, and filmmaker. You guys will remember him from such hit shows as Girlfriends, Everybody Hates Chris, Real Husbands of Hollywood, Baby Boy, and Nappily Ever After. But what he's here today to talk to us, and here's the deal. I didn't even know he was a 2-time Golden Gloves champion. Maybe it was mentioned, but I'm like, dang, brother is doing it all. Hollywood, staying physically fit, and then working on this incredible film that we had heard about, but now it has come to full bloom, The Executioners, which is all about saving young people. And right now, everywhere we turn, we're having so many problems in our communities, not only here in Chicago, but across the country. I just think this is a great time to talk about this film, talk to our wonderful guests, and just get some hope and inspiration out of all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Dannon Green. Yay! Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing? What's up, Kat? How everybody good? You good?
Good to see you, brother. How you been? Happy post-COVID. How you doing since with all this COVID stuff?
Man, you know the main thing, I made it through. That's the main thing. I made it through. My health was good, so I'm kind of like I'm good to go. You know what I'm saying? LA actually opened up today, so people are out here acting crazy, and no mask, no nothing. They good to go, man.
So how are you feeling about all that? Because Chicago, we opened up this past Friday and we became the first major city. And look, brother, traffic was so bad in Chicago this past weekend. For a year, we were able to get places in 15, 20 minutes. Man, it took us almost an hour to get somewhere Saturday. So how are you feeling about this opening back up?
Well, I look at it 2 ways. Especially, and you guys will understand, being in entertainment. When it was shut down, I kept telling myself, and I would always share with close friends, that if you didn't take advantage of this year and a half to produce or create something when nobody could do nothing, you kind of wasted a bad opportunity to make it a good opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Yes, so in this time, what I did, I actually wound up writing a screenplay and developing a TV show.
Really?
So yeah. I wrote a full feature film and a TV show out of it. So, and then I was working out a lot at home, just shadow boxing, staying in shape that way. So it was cool. Now, it was tough when you go out on the streets, because in the first 6 months, you figured nobody was really out. But when it got to the mask part, that was still bad because some people were, wearing the mask. Some didn't think it was a mask to be used. Then when it kind of, people will walk by you and next they'd be across the street, before they could cross, it was crazy, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but now I look at it like, okay, it's lifted. I believe personally, I took advantage of the situation and God blessed me to stay healthy through it. So I'm like, it is what it is. Let's go for it. You know what I mean? I believe in never live in fear. You know what I mean? I don't want to live in fear. You know what I mean? So I can go for it.
Listen, you are really you saying a mouthful of positive things, because we both feel the same way. I'm gonna let Bass speak in just a second, but I started this show in the pandemic. I learned to do the pivot. I went from nightly radio to a digital show at home, and it's working. And so who knew? I stayed faithful and consistent, and you'd be just surprised how things work out. And Bass, I'm sure you can share how this year has changed for you before we get into our guest backstory.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like when you just said about being creative. What happened with all of us, I call the reset. We were able to sit back and reset our lives. And if you're a creative person, you were able to do creative things. Like you said before, you wrote a screenplay, a movie and television, everything else, and keeping in shape, boxing and stuff like that. And on my side, I was doing my Friday show, created another show, and started doing 3 more shows, digital platforming from a talk perspective. So when you're able to, I think it's also a survival method. Because we were sheltering in place, we were in, just, by ourselves or with family and friends. And what do? If you're a creative person, you find other ways to get that creative juices out there. And this is what we've done. I applaud you, brother, because again, instead of being in one place, you're moving in various places.
Yes. And what you said was a mouthful, because I think both of you guys understood we had to find a way to regenerate paper. You know what I mean? You had to regenerate your money. And you had no choice, because you wasn't going to the, even with people with regular jobs, even though you had to work at the house, or people like me, comedians, writer and all that, we had to find other ways to do it. So I was doing online training, people sending me $10, $20. I was doing talks and people would cash at me. So I was trying to find any way to stay relevant and afloat. And what's funny? I would tell people, I would say, man, you got to take advantage of this time. I said, guess what Denzel Washington is doing? This is what I used to say to people. And they'd be like, what? I said, doing the same thing you're doing. Nothing. At home, waiting for this to go. You got to take advantage of it, and that's what we did.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm glad we all look. This is a very positive conversation with this being Father's Day week, Juneteenth week, all of that Black men are able to have this type of dialogue. Like, listen, don't count us out. We tried to do what we could to reinvent ourselves and be positive about all of this and just hold our breaths to get through this pandemic. Brother, I want to go back to your upbringing. I want to talk a little bit about your boxing career, how the gym saved your life. And if you could share a little of that, we'd appreciate that.
Hey, can you give me 10 seconds? I want to close this door.
Go right ahead. Do it. Yes, sir. Go right ahead. It's the magic of live TV. That's what we love. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Go right ahead. So let's talk about your backstory. Where you come from? How did you get started? How did you even get your foot in the door in Hollywood?
Well, my backstory is very unique. I'm a foster kid out of New York. Yeah, I was adopted. I lived in 8 foster homes before I got adopted. Got adopted at the age of 7 out of New York, Manhattan. And then I moved to Philadelphia, and my mom, the only mom I knew, she raised me till I was 15. She passed when I was 15. And literally, I've been on my own since about the age of 17. But I wound up putting myself through 4 years of my last year of high school on my own, 4 years of college, 2 years of grad school. I got a master's from Ohio State University, which I'm very proud to say I'm a Buckeye. I did my undergrad not far from Chicago in Davenport, Iowa, the Quad Cities. So I got a lot of partners from Chicago, believe it or not, a lot of them. So Chicago's like a second town, second home for me, third home, whatever you want to call it. But when I finished grad school at Ohio State, I wound up. My late brother was living in Long Beach, California, and I said, he like, yo, why don't you move out here with me? And I moved out there. Then he wound up moving back, and then I had started 1 year of comedy in Columbus, Ohio. And then when I moved to LA, I said, you know what, let me see what it's about. And then I started, because I was pursuing I got my master's in the field of computer animation.
Wow.
I'm the first African-American to get an undergraduate degree and a master's in the field, period, ever, the first. And it's on record. So I wound up moving out here looking for a job. Right around the riots, the Rodney King riots time, got hard, wound up getting a job with FedEx, and then I got into the entertainment. And I started pursuing it out here with the stand-up. And one thing led to another. I was, doing stand-up. And then like 95, 96, with Guy Torrey, him and I started one of the hottest clubs in LA called Fat Tuesday, back in the day. And then we wound up, I wound up starting to, looking for an agent, got into commercials, started doing that. 98, 99, I started writing. And I started writing because I was actually in the first boot camp, the big acting boot camp that Bill Duke put on back in 97, 98, which had Anthony Anderson, Taraji Henson, Shamar Moore, Chris Spencer, Lisa Ray. Like, we were all in the same acting, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
But Bill Duke and and Ebony Magazine was the reason when I started writing. And that was, he said that you have to own identity properties to intellectual properties. I apologize, to move ahead. So I started writing.
That's right.
And then I saw a article in Ebony Man back then. Remember that old magazine with the black man? And it was an article with Damon Wayans. It was either Damon or Keenan. And they said, the most powerful thing you can have in Hollywood is the pen. And that I never lost that. I never forgot that. And I started writing. And since then, I've written 6 screenplays with 1 documentary, which we're going to talk about. And that's how that's how I got into it.
Wow. Your backstory is absolutely incredible. I find people who have had the most adversities in their life and they continue to overcome those obstacles are those that end up on the top in the end. And so, brother, I commend you for that struggle. I really do. Bass, what do you think of all of that? Because Brother Man has had some obstacles.
The strongest survive. And DG, look, man, you above and beyond the call of duty for your life. You have to make those, because at the end of a proverbial day, as people say, you have to ask yourself the question, will I make it or will I not? There's no straddling the fence in this situation. No. So just the fact you told that is not only inspirational, but I hope somebody's watching and listening, because you can inspire somebody just by telling your story just now as we go along through the interview. Because I was saying in our early conversation, we need more positivity in our lives. We need to see people like you and others that are out there doing it, and you lead by example. So DG, you leading, Doc.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I used to watch. I was always told that I would be a historian. When you take the test to get into the military, they tell you what kind of stuff, where you could be. It wasn't technical. It wasn't. They said you would be a historian. I always graded high, and it's something that I always remember. I used to watch the news a lot, and back, and I grew up in Philly, so they would always have like they still do now. It'd be a dude in court, and he did a crime, and they would show that case, and then they would always say that, his lawyer would be, Your Honor, my client comes from a bad background and he didn't have his family and blah, 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 and trying to, and the judge would be like, okay, I'm real sorry about that. Now you still got to do these 25 years I'm about to give you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm sorry that he lived so hard. So my whole thing has always been, Kat, that I never wanted to have an excuse to put myself in a bad situation. You got choices to make, and I could have went the drug route, or I could have went this route, and I just happened to say the fork in the road took me to the route that I'm in right now.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. I feel the same way. I feel raised differently, but the backstory, I think for most Black men of a certain age, that would be our backstory. We made the decision and choice to go in the direction that we went in. And I think when we all think about it in hindsight, we thank God for the direction we went in. May not have created millions of dollars, may not have done whatever, but at least we danced to our own music in these situations. Yes. Very good. Well, I want to talk about the film. It is getting a lot of rave reviews. I understand film festivals are all involved. So kind of give us the backstory of the executioners, and then we'll go forward from there.
Well, when I grew up in 1980, I wound up getting involved in boxing, and I joined a gym called the Executioners. And in 1980, 81, I came in second in the city in the Junior Olympics.
Wow.
And then that same year, that was the year that my mom died. So I had to move out of Philly. And I wound up I wound up staying out of boxing for a period of time. Got back into boxing, wound up while I was in college and grad school, well, undergrad and then grad school, wound up winning the Golden Gloves. So anyway, time passes, we're in Hollywood now. 2017, I go back to Philadelphia to do a comedy show. And one of my old teammates from the gym was there at my show. So I said, hey man, whatever happened to everybody? You know what I mean? And I asked about the two major trainers, Marvin Tucci Gordon and Frank Taylor. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, Tucci died in 96. I said, oh, okay, wow. And then he said, I said, was Frank still alive? And he goes, yeah, Frank's still alive. So I was like, oh man, so you have his number? He gave me his number. This was August 2017. Mm-hmm. I get back to LA. I wait until about October. For some reason, I didn't call him right away. And then what happened was I call him up, and brother, I'm telling you, I haven't talked to this man in over 30 years.
Wow.
I called him up. I said, and he was always a nice guy. I said, hey, is Frank Taylor there? And he goes, yes, this is Frank Taylor. And I go, hey, Frank, this is Dannon Green. I used to box for you as a kid. And he goes, Dannon Green. He goes, Dannon Green, Felton Street, Southpaw, good fighter. Yeah, I remember you. And man, I almost cried, bro. I almost, he remembered the block I lived on.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So we talked for like about 30 minutes, and it was a great conversation, and I hung up. And man, about the 1st of November of 2017, it hit me. I said, Chris, somebody got to tell this story. Mm-hmm. I said, somebody's got to tell this story, because he was 79, 80 then.
Right.
When this man, and he's on dialysis, he's sharp as a whip. It's just that he's on dialysis back. I said, when he goes, that whole history goes in the grave, and nobody would know this story.
That's right.
So what I did, I wind up, I called him back. Now here's the interesting thing, and with us all being from the inner city, especially men, I think you really want to understand what I'm saying.
Right.
I called him back, and I go, Frank, hey man, I would like to tell the story about the executioners. And I didn't know what kind of story it was going to be. I really didn't know. I just said, I want to tell a story. He said to me, man, I always thought it was a story there. I just didn't know how to get it out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, will you allow me to do the story? He said, yeah. And man, I wind up writing it. I met a guy that I got a chance, my business partner, to believe in what I was talking about. Right. And wanted to do. And then I had some good years with the commercial game. I did a lot of commercials. Right. So yeah. I had money saved up, and he let me know what he could do. He said, give me the numbers. And, I let him know what I could do. He said, give me the numbers. He said, man, you know what? I'll back you. And the thing about it was, I didn't know what kind of story to tell. I'm telling you the truth, man. But what I did something that no one's ever done before. I produced a boxing documentary that is about a boxing team. Yes. Not a particular fight or fighter, which is most boxing documentaries have been about. I produced one about a boxing team. And what I did was very different than if you ever look at any team documentaries like basketball and football, I interviewed each person separately. I didn't put them in a room and start saying, tell your story, you know what I mean? And they were able to bounce stuff off of each other. Each person got interviewed separately except the Clark brothers. But that's because they were the brothers. And man, the first interview, I can't make this up. I didn't know what we were going to have. And I was talking to Frank, the first two interviews. Frank was the first one I interviewed. I interviewed this man for almost 2 hours.
Wow.
In the first 5 minutes, he was talking about boxing and what he really wanted to do. I think you saw the trailer. And when he teared up and almost started crying, he said, because I knew what I wanted to make a champ. He said, but at the end of the day, what the kids did for me was more important. And I said, when I finished interviewing him, we brought the next person in, which was Mike Wells. And he was telling his story, and he teared up, and he was telling me his story. And when we finished those two people, I went to my man. I said, "We got something."
Right.
And the rest was history.
Man, really, you all are doing miracle work. You're doing miracle work. You're taking people's testimonies and turning them into heartfelt stories, and that's what I think is incredible.
So we did it. I didn't know how it was going to be. I was trying to get some major names involved, Will Smith, other people. Couldn't get nobody to come to the table. Couldn't get in contact with nobody. So I said, let me go ahead and just take the bull by the horn. Because I wanted I wanted a name to narrate it at first. And as a comedian, one of my things is most people know me because I have a list when I get, you know what I mean? So I have a slight list. So I didn't know if I wanted to narrate it or not. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be spitting all on the camera and all that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I took my time. I wrote it. I directed it. I helped edit. I scored it. And I narrated it. And man, we finished it. I didn't really know what we had. I knew it was good. What I did do first, I had about 10 women look at it. I had 10 women look at it. Before even dudes, I had about 10 women look at it. Because women, I wanted to know if women would find it interesting.
That's right.
Everyone was like, because of boxing, a lot of women don't like boxing. I mean, it's growing, but but I wanted to see where their perspective was. And they were all like, this is a great story. And then I had a couple of people that I trusted, two guys, my boy Jeff Brown, comedian Jeff Brown from Chicago. And then this white guy named Eddie Rubin. And I only went to two people totally to give me their notes. And that was only because I knew if I went to 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 people, they all would have different notes. Right. And I would never ever get a solid a solid piece done because I would keep changing it. And they gave me their notes, and I came back and I made the changes. And man, I wound up getting accepted into 11 film festivals. I'm in 11, and tomorrow I fly to Manhattan, New York. Because my film made it into the Manhattan Film Festival. Man. So, yeah.
That's incredible. Look at
and God. You know what's crazy, man? It's going to be emotional for me. I just want to share this with you and your listeners because I was born in Manhattan.
Yep.
And I'm a foster kid out of that city.
Yep.
And to have to go back and tell them, go back to the city I was born in and a foster kid out, orphan out of, and to tell a story about the city that adopted me is crazy.
Brother, do you remember the last place you lived in Manhattan?
Well, when I was a foster kid, the last place that I believe I lived in was Staten Island.
Okay.
I moved a lot because I was a ward of the city, of the state. Ward of the state. So when you're a ward, you belong to the state and they try to find foster family for you or whatever. So the last place I lived in was in Staten Island.
When was the last time you've been to Manhattan?
Now, I hadn't been to Manhattan the last time I did, I went to do a show there at Caroline's. I was with Flex Alexander. We did a comedy show out there. And that was probably about 7, 8 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's going to be wild to go back because, the energy is going to be here because everybody's finally getting out. Yeah.
It's going to be good. It is. It's going to be great. Bass, what do you think about all this? This man is incredible. He's pulled himself up by his bootstraps and continuing to make progress and strides.
Look, incredible don't even start to scratching the surface. I mean, DG, now you're doing it in 3D, Doc. So, I give you all the props in the world. Like most avid boxing fans, back in the day on the weekend on ABC, ABC Wild World of Sports.
Yeah.
And so that's when I first heard of Mike Tyson. They did a story on Mike, and they said, look, there's this guy on the street he's a teenager beating up grown ass men during this time. And so trainer custom model, as you know, took him under his wing and started to train him. We talk about the emotional content. It goes back to what boxing means to you. It's a way of life.
Yes.
And so that's where the tears come up, and people have their own individual stories about it, because boxing either saved their lives, or they eat, drink, and sleep, and that's who they are, and that's in their DNA. So if it's in their DNA, it's the emotional content. So it's also connected to Father's Day too a little bit, because a lot of these young men out here don't have father figures. And these trainers who've worked with these young fighters over time have become that mystic father figure.
And it was the same with me.
Absolutely.
The reason that I think this documentary is so important is because when you see it, it's not a rah, rah, rah documentary. These dudes made a lot of mistakes. And they, some recovered and some didn't. So it's not one of them stories where at the end you're like, oh, no, you at the end you're like, wow. And I always tell people, there's nothing, to me, my own perspective, to me, there's nothing more powerful than to hear from a black man. And I say a black man because that's where I would hear it from mostly, but a black man. When you hear a man say, I wish I would have listened. I wish I would have listened to what they told me to do. And you hear that from a guy that say that. He said, if I would have just listened to what they told me to do, my life would have been so much better. Bro, you can't buy that. You can't bottle that up. That's something that, you know what I mean? It's heavy. And again, man, this documentary it's starting to pick up steam. I wound up getting a deal with Tubi TV. On my own. I have no agent, no manager. Nobody got it. I hustled out there and got it. And next month, July 1st or 2nd, we're going to be on Amazon Prime and Zumo as well. So I need 2 more platforms. And if Netflix wants to jump in the picture and buy it out, it's cool, because I'm not exclusive with anybody. So we can get.
I love it. That's right. That's right. Look, you sound like me now. I'm not exclusive with nobody. Grab it, buy it. You're right, brother. Look, it is so good to just talk to 2 other brothers that believe in grabbing the bull by the horns, that brass ring, and doing what we need to do. And this is, to me, one of the most powerful conversations ever during, again, the week of Juneteenth and Father's Day weekend. You know, just how black men just have to continue to just keep moving and going forth. So now Tubi TV is where we can find it, other platforms as well too. Okay, so on the screen, you guys, here it is, The Executioners on Tubi TV. Make sure you guys check it out.
Which is free TV. It's free TV. So you're not, it's a free app. You know what I mean? So you can just download it. You type in The Executioners, and it's doing so well that my poster is one of the top ones on the top line. You know how, like, in the algorithms, is up there.
Right. Yes, very good. Well, with that being said, brother, with this being the week of Juneteenth and Father's Day weekend, what closing message would you want to leave with the audience? Your backstory has just been awe-inspiring. The message, now the movie, but what is it that you want to say to everybody as it pertains to these 2 big things coming up this weekend?
What I really want to tell everybody is, one, I mean, obviously male figures are very important. We are very important. We're needed. And if you're a person that can go out there and talk to a kid every now and then or show interest, you got to do it. There is no corny way of doing it. It's just, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up? You good? You see kids around your neighborhood, ask them, are you good? Hey, what's going on, man? You want to go ahead and shoot some ball? Try to help a child out. That's the first thing I would say. But the main thing I think I hope to get across for people is, you can't give up. You know, you can't give up on life. You can't give up on your circumstance, and don't blame anybody. Don't blame politics. Don't blame the government, because at the end of the day, the only person that's going to have to deal with whatever situation you're in is you. And people will be willing to help you if you're willing to help yourself. So, man, you know, with Juneteenth coming up and Father's Day, man, first of all, because I grew up without a father. I didn't have a father, no father in my life, but I had men which were my trainers that I looked up to. And they would tell me things like that. You know, they would say, Dannon, you know, they would tell me stories. And one of my favorite, one of my top, Frank is one of my top trainers, but I used to be trained by Vonzel Johnson out of Columbus, Ohio. And he was a former light heavyweight contender. He only lost 2 fights, Matthew Saad Muhammad and Michael Spinks. And he used to tell me stories, man. And I just tell people, man, I'm an individual. Don't get caught up in cliques. You don't need no gang. Stay focused on what you need. If that's what you want to do, because I can tell you all day. I can tell someone, a child all day, don't do this, don't do that. They're going to do what they want to do. But if you really, truly want to have success, you got to take yourself out of that picture, out of those situations and go, this is the path, this is the road. I'm going to commit to it, and I'm going to see where it takes me. That's all I can say.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. And it took me a pandemic to learn that. Bass, what would you like to say to our guest before we let him go? Look, this man done preached. I feel like we should pass a collection.
Well, you can do that too, but here's the hat.
Right. Right. Look, we accept Cash App, Visa, card. Look, we even take link card, whatever you can do to help a brother out. That's right.
Help a brother out.
That's right. Bass, what do you want to say to our guest?
First of all, man, Danny, thank you so much for sharing your information, your wisdom, your insight, your survival instincts. And again, it just goes to show you that you can't keep a good man down.
Yep.
You can't, despite the obstacles, despite the fact that a lot of people say no. You only need that one yes.
You only
makes
need
a
one
difference. That's all you need. That one yes, it changed your life completely. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. I already got Tubi on my smart TV, and we'll check it out later on. Already downloaded. So, man, just keep on doing you and being a great example for all of us to
Can I say one more thing real quick?
Sure, absolutely.
You said something that I always tell people. I said, everybody needs just one person to believe in them. I said, even Oprah had to have somebody say yes. No matter how powerful she. I said, and I will say this. I said, at the time, there might have been 6 white men sitting around the table, because this is in the 80s when she came out, and they were all might have been saying, I don't know, she's not cute, she's not this. And there was going to be one guy that said, but you know what? I kind of like her. Let's give her a shot. There's all you need is one person to say yes, and then you got to take full advantage of it. And that's what life's about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You amen, amen. May the congregation now say amen. And
give
the and give the Reverend a big round of applause because he done laid it out. He done did the sermon and the benediction, because you are absolutely right. And here's the deal. The blessing is when you are able to become that person to give people a shot.
Yes.
To say yes
and
to
that's
other
my goal.
people.
Yes. And that's what I do. And I do that now. And that's my goal, bro. And trust me, believe me, that's what I do.
Yep. I told anybody who I work with right now, I said, listen, we were all sitting at home during a pandemic. What was you doing anyway? I said, let's get on the internet, let's do something, and let's work with it. And here I am a year later, and God is now turning all of this into a blessing for me. So I do understand the struggle. I do understand. I really do. Well, brother, it has done. Anytime you want to come back, your publicist, I tell her she's some of the best people ever. Continued success to you. Happy Juneteenth, happy Father's Day weekend. And just to know what you've been through and who you are now, and that you never took no for an answer, it really is a moment of just a true testament of not giving up.
Thank you. And just watch The Executioners, ladies and gentlemen, on Tubi TV, The Executioners. Check it out.
Here we're going to put it up there. Tubi TV, you guys, is where you can go. Free app. That's the film. Support it, like it, follow it on social media. How can we follow you on your social media platforms?
Oh, yeah. You can follow me on Facebook as Dannon Green, Dannon Green, Green, or Instagram. I don't tweet yet, but I have Instagram, which is Dannon Green 66. Dannon, my full name, Green 66. Or you can go to the Instagram page for the Executioners, and it's called The Executioners Doc. All
right, very good. People saying they're gonna watch the film. We got comments here. Everybody thought it was a great interview. Yes, it really was. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. comedian, actor, film producer, all around great guy, a testimony like you would not believe, and truly to let you know that life does come complete full circle. He is living proof of that. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Dannon Green. Yay!
God
Thank
bless,
you, brother.
man.
God bless. All right, we'll
Thank you
talk
guys,
to you
man.
soon.
Appreciate you.
All
Have
right,
a great
take care,
night.
bro.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
That was amazing, brother. That was amazing. Wasn't that good? That was excellent. You're welcome. That was excellent, excellent, excellent.
Nice.
Brother Bass, man, I love that. That's what I'm talking about. Black men having important dialogue with each other. And look, his story is no different than yours and mine. I mean, at least I know mine's strained relationship with my father, wanting to be in the entertainment world and wanting to do things differently and dancing to my own beat. But it does all pay off in the end.
Oh, it does. I mean, the road that we travel, being young and going through life, we're creating our own path and we're trying to make a difference and we're trying to just, again, use the word navigate, understand. And then once we think we have it down pat, life throws another curveball, say, oh, you ain't got it yet. And maybe we're not supposed to get it yet. I think the main thing is to, and here's the thing I look at it, Art. We're different people throughout our lives. We allow ourselves to change and come into our own as different people, as though we have to remember the people we used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And once we got that, I think it's also the way to go forward in life. If I remember who I was and who I am now, it puts me to the future of what I will become.
Right. Bass, oh, that's powerful. That is really deep what you just said. I've started reading. Let me see. I need to pull it up here real quick. I got it on audiobook, Oprah's latest book. And it really is just a great book. What hurt you? What happened to you? Conversations on trauma, resilience, and healing. I recommend to any of you guys, let me say it again. What happened to you? I downloaded it as an audiobook and I listen to it every chance I get. And it actually is by Bruce D. Perry, MD, medical psychology, and Oprah Winfrey. And this book it really is life-changing. What happened to you? And it's conversations of trauma, resilience, and healing. And as a part of that, this weekend, while I'm in Atlanta, I'm going to trace the footsteps of my father's upbringing, of where he was from. And that's a part of the resilience, the healing, and the trauma, and how you move forward. And this book inspired that in me.
That's great. That's going to be an interesting journey, man.
I know. Well, speaking of that, we want to remind everyone, coming soon is the Urban Global Traveler Series, with Chat Daddy. And Bass, you need to slide over a little bit because I got to put a graphic up here. Last night, you okay? You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see when the graphic pop up. We get on fabulous on this show. We can only get so much free. Wait. And then I'm a one-man operation trying to do this with my finger that ain't doing the right thing. Hold on, Bass. Don't move.
All right.
So coming up in July, the Real Chat Daddy Show will be broadcasting live from Hawaii, July 12th through the 14th. It's a part of the Urban Global Traveler Series. Our first destination will be Hawaii. I'll be doing the show live from Hawaii, Monday the 12th, Tuesday the 13th, and Wednesday the 14th. So make sure you guys put that on your calendar. Kay Renee, as well as other people, will be sitting in as guest co-hosts, and I'll be in Hawaii, and y'all will be wherever y'all will be. But I'll be there and let you know about all the wonderful things that are going on in Hawaii. So mark your calendar now. The Urban Global Traveler Series will start its first series in Hawaii. July 12th through the 14th, we'll be broadcasting live from Hawaii. All right. Aloha.
Congratulations, brother. Man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Aloha. Isn't that how we say it?
That's right.
That's how we say it. Aloha. Mana aloha. Yes. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. This coming Saturday, Atlanta, get ready. The C-Base, that's where you have to lean over a little bit. The other way. Yeah, there you go. We're celebrating Juneteenth in Atlanta this weekend. The Urban Global Traveler Series will feature the sights, sounds, and all the accoutrements that Atlanta will be offering this coming Saturday. It'll be a tape piece, but you guys will see it somewhere down the road. All right, so let's drop that. Base, anything else you need to talk about before we get out of here, brother?
Oh, real quick, I mentioned I was going to mention in the early part of the show, but just real quick for people out there, and I found out about this recently as of last year. If you are a person who knows history, if you love the Tonight Show coming up, Johnny Carson and people like that, come to find out, in February 1968, Harry Belafonte hosted 1 week of the Tonight Show, and I consider myself a creature of late night, love it, Arsenio and everybody else. I never knew about this till last year. So come to find out that back in February 68, Belafonte hosted the Tonight Show. Johnny Carson called him and said, because of what's going on in the civil rights movement, I'm not really, experienced to talk about that. Why don't you come on the show? And he had total autonomy of what he wanted to do. So he was able to sing. He was able to have powerful guests. He had also shown home movies of his family during this week. Here's the guest list he had on during the week. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which turned out to be his last appearance on network television because he was assassinated that April 4th of 1968.
Wow.
Robert Kennedy was his guest. Unfortunately, he was taken out by Sirhan Sirhan in 1968.
Right.
Lena Horne, Nipsey Russell, not Nipsey Hussle, Nipsey Russell.
Nipsey, the original Nipsey. That's right.
Right, the original Nipsey. Bill Cosby, Paul Newman, Dionne Warwick, Sidney Poitier, Robert Goulet, the Smothers Brothers, Tom and Dick Smothers, they were on the show. All these various people were all in 1 week because of who Harry Belafonte was to pull these people in. As a matter of fact, Diane Carroll's on the show. After her appearance on that Tonight Show, she was greenlit to do Julia for her own program.
Wow. And if you ask these young people of today who any of those people are, they wouldn't be able to tell you.
And go Google it. Go Google it and find out these historical content of people, because come to find out that only parts of the interview that was saved by his interview with Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy was saved, because everything else was taped over. Back in the day, NBC out of New York would retape all of their shows, including the Tonight Show.
That's right.
That's money. Right.
Wow.
But a great historical content. In fact, this documentary called The Sit-In. Harry Belafonte hosted the Tonight Show. If you have the Peacock Network, it's on the streaming service. Check it out. It is wonderful information. And again, this historical point in history of the Tonight Show was completely unknown until unearthed in the past couple of years.
Right. Wow. Base, you know what I like about you? You're a walking encyclopedia. I feel like you're the Harold Washington Library of the modern day. Because you, brother, you just know things that I'm like, who knew that? And then here's the funny piece about this. You seem a little upset that you missed Harry Belafonte on TV. So I'm not going to ask your age, but I'm like, Base, I think we may have been in cribs, or at least I think I was in a crib. I don't know, you know?
Dude, I was 1 year old.
Right. But you were so convincing, like you was almost pissed that you missed Harry Belafonte on TV.
Oh my God.
Right.
Look, I'm still pissed, because the fact that here's a man in the height of civil rights movement went on television to show other people that Black people were not subhuman, that they were human. Again, complete autonomy of the show. Yes. Once again, showing his home movies and showing people he's hanging out with on his off time with his family. It really helped to show people in who were racist or, didn't know anything about Harry Belafonte, the fact that we're just like anybody else. It's just a different hue, different skin tone, and have differences. But it's the fact that when you're able to use that platform as he did, because him and Dr. King were very close friends, was able to show Dr. King in a positive light. Dr. King cracked a joke on this
Yes.
show. You never saw him,
Yes.
relax
Yes.
before because he was able to have that dialogue with his good friend Harry Belafonte. So again, the historical content that I believe in, it all of us makes us stronger if we know these things. So if we're able to look at that and glean something from it, we're the wiser from it.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. Great dialogue. Thank you for bringing that up, brother. That's a great way to end tonight's show. Chris Bass will be back as our co-host on the 22nd. There will not be a live show on Monday, the 21st, but on the 22nd, when we come back, Chris Bass will be our co-host, and then Kay Renee will be our co-host that Wednesday for the week. But man, brother, I can't wait. You and I always have the best conversation about anything Black, whether it's television, movies, music, whatever it is. I'm telling you, Kay Renee just said you are a modern griot, Chris Bass, which you are a griot, as they would say. You are a modern griot. Yes.
Thank you, Kay Renee. Thank you,
yes,
sweetheart.
absolutely. Yes. She's the queen of linguistics,
Yes,
so,
she is.
Yes, she is. We love her to no end. We absolutely do. Hey, Kay Renee.
Absolutely.
Boy, congratulations to Miss Kim Coleman, aka Sister Girl Speak. She just landed her first commercial in her city. She's a thespian now. And so she announced today on social media that she's landed her first commercial in Oklahoma City. So I can't wait to see what it is.
Kim, congratulations.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe she like to gonna talk about being at the Ponderosa or something. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm ignorant. I'm so ignorant. Right. Yeah, I'm just ignorant. I am. All right. Well, Bass, please tell these people how they can find you again and all that great stuff.
Oh, well, thank you, Art. Always my honor and privilege to be here. I love you more. For those of you, please go to facebook.com and type in Chris Bass, CHRIS, as in broadcasting, AS. It was right there in the corner. You can see it there for yourself there, right there in the corner.
Right down yonder.
Right, exactly. Right there in the corner piece.
Yeah, right down
right there in the side, right there in the side pocket. So you type that. I'll tell you up front, there's 87 Chris Basses. I know they are out there, but I am the original. You type in, you see me, you see the bronze god, which is myself, and you say, oh man, that's a good looking dude. And then you click on become Facebook friends and take it from there. Go tell 5 of your friends and 8 of your enemies that Chris Bass will be in the air.
Well, brother, all I got to do is just announce it on Facebook, and that'll be 500 and 800 enemies. So I you know what I'm saying? That's all you got to do is announce it on Facebook. Just put it out there. So that's what we do. All right. Well, for more information about yours truly, please go over to my website, which is therealchatdaddy.com. I know I need to update some things. I know. I got to get a virtual assistant soon. But therealchatdaddy.com is more information about yours truly. I ask that you please go over to YouTube and subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show, The Real Chat Daddy Show. Tomorrow night, yes, sir.
Are you going to do your PSA about washing your hands and everything else?
We can. That's so funny. We so used to doing that on the show. Why? Did you get a new mask or whatever?
Look, I'm with you this time. I got the mask.
Shut up.
I got the mask. I got the hand sanitizer. I'm with you.
Okay, I guess this is kind of like being on an airline. Like the plane cannot take off without the flight demo instructions. All right, so here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. You know we're a health and wellness show. We were created during COVID. We're here to tell everybody to stay safe. Let me explain this to you guys. COVID is real and it's not over. Matter of fact, I know of one person personally that has died from COVID in the last 24 hours. And I'm talking about in our age range on this show. So COVID is very much real. People are still contracting COVID. There's that new Delta strand of COVID, and Delta Airlines is having problems. There's a Delta strand. So be careful of everything that's Delta right now. But please, ladies and gentlemen, in order to keep yourselves safe, we are encouraging that you wear a mask. And mine says smile tonight. Bass, you got your mask. See?
Right.
All right. So yeah. Oh, very good. Baby blue for the
Yeah,
grandson. Yes,
that's
baby
right.
blue. Very good. All right. You know, on this show, we're all about sanitizing and washing your hands. On this show, we call ourselves sexy sanitizers. So you know, base, we can get a OnlyFans page if we do it really slow and nice. Watch this. Just yeah, oh, gone, base. Yeah, gone. Look, see, that's a naughty grandpa, base. That's naughty grandpa. That's
Yeah, it
naughty
is.
base. That's and then look, and then do your low when you do it. Naughty grandpa, you
That's
guys.
right.
He has an OnlyFans page, hand rubbing and laughing, hand rubbing and laughing. Also, the social distance thing is all hell in a handbasket now. Man, I was in the grocery store today and I had to knock two old ladies off of me. I had to get back, grandma, get back. Social distance, social distance.
Right.
But we do.
Stolen bows.
Yes, yeah, right. Elbows and Cadillac doors.
That's
So,
right.
right.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate you, loyal follower. Wamelda, we love you so very much. Thank you. Kay Renee, we appreciate you being here tonight. Who else did I see? I feel like this is Romper Room. Remember
Right.
Romper Room? What was the lady's name? Preston, we appreciate you. Candace, we love you so much. Helena, we missed you on Sunday, my dear. Renee, Rick Cornick, we appreciate you so much. Miss Janet Crawford, she just today posted on Facebook how we first met. I love Janet, she's amazing. Base, what was that? What was that I asked you about?
Oh, I'll just be real quick about the sanitizing real quick again about, I got that and the mask. And also I want to add on to before, and you posted on your Facebook page as well, and I mentioned before in this program, make sure that you brush your teeth. If you have one tooth, make sure you brush your tooth, mouthwash, and mints. Because if you don't, you will functify yourself and pass out, and your nostril hairs will come out of your nose, and you will pass the hell out. So make sure you have mints on hand. Do about 3 or 4, sometimes 6 if you have to, and then put on your mask, and then you won't pass out because it's hot out here. Combined with your breath that's so functified, you don't want that to happen. So make sure you have it.
So funkified. Look, base, I became a gum chewer because of COVID. I become a gum chewer, and it's not that my breath was on fire, anything like that, but I became a gum chewer during COVID. And you're right, because you had that mask on and all that. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. And you do not want to be out here funkified, y'all. You do not. Nope. Tammy, I put the laughing emoji up there. Yeah, you do not want to be so funkified. Well, on behalf of Funkified, we need to do us an album, base. We do. We need to.
We should.
Yeah, we need to do an album, right?
Look, do a PSA, cut to So Funkified about your breath, or as some people say, bad breath. You have that with your mask and let everybody know. Look, you need to protect yourself and others. The breath you save may be your own.
That's right. And being a former flight attendant, we always tell you to put the mask on yourself first before you do others. So we're telling you, if your breath is a little hot, make sure you do something to cut that hotness down. On another thing, y'all put some deodorant on. Put some deodorant. I know y'all been in the house, and now that you're back out in public, and them armpits smelling like cooked onions and chicken. So please make sure you all are wearing some deodorant out here when you're out as well too. And then for those of you all that wear your feet out this time of year, get all that husk off the back of your feet. Damn ankles looking like coconut cake. So make sure y'all, right, that good old coconut cake with the pineapple and coconut and the frosting and it's glued on there. I saw some heels the other day look like that. I said, Lord have mercy, please somebody give me a razor blade or something so I can help them get this crust off these feet.
Go get yourself a nice pedicure. I mean, treat yourself, because you don't want the back of your feet looking like elephant.
No.
Gray matter. If you have to pay extra for them to chisel it off, it's well worth it.
Yes. And if your feet are bad like that, it is no longer considered a pedicure. So don't get mad at the people when you go get a pedicure and they charge you for a hoofer cure. A hoofer cure. That's what that is. They charge you for a hoofer cure. Right.
That's right.
You be mad. Don't be mad because you ain't took care of your
Mm.
feet. And I don't know when. That's right. My late grandmother used to always say to me, boy, take care of your hands and feet. You never know when you might have to use them to survive.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know.
Amen and a women.
But that sounds like a rule in a whorehouse if you really think about it. But okay, never mind.
Well, that could work. That could work too.
Thanks, Grandma. Look, sound like a rule in a whorehouse, but thanks, Grandma. Appreciate you. Take care of your hands and your feet. On behalf of my co-host this evening, my brother from another mother, really a radio legend, social media influencer, and just all around great guy. Congratulations on becoming a grandfather. Thank God your daughter and son-in-law had a beautiful baby, and that's what we want to hear. Just great stories. The one and only Mr. Chris Bass. I am yours truly, Art Chat Daddy Sims. As I said before, take a visit to therealchatdaddy.com for more information about me. We'll be back tomorrow night with the Wednesday night edition, which you know is our Friday show because we are on summer days now, Monday through Wednesday live shows. And that's it. That's all. We'll see you guys later. Have a beautiful night, everyone. Bass, God bless you, brother. I will talk to you tomorrow, Bass, because we need to get together and have a bite to eat soon, okay?
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Art.
God bless you all. Have a great night. On behalf of Bass and I, we're out of here. See you guys later. Bye. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show.